Water meets live electricity. One bad connection, and it's a first-class ticket to my ancestors. So, truly, what is the worst that could happen? In June 2024, GTCO and Zenith Bank were offering their shares for sale. They were raising capital. And I saw a lot of people advising against buying these shares. People are saying that the market was overpriced. It's a bad idea that banks are selling shares. There must be something hidden, this hidden agenda. So I quickly make videos, 2 videos in particular, July 2024, to correct that notion. And the goal of that video was to encourage you to actually consider buying these stocks. These people advising against this, that's their opinion. I was bringing the second opinion that, look, you can buy them. There's nothing wrong with buying these shares. And some of you did, most of you did not. What has happened? What has happened since then? So, here's it. If you invested 10,000 naira in GTCO, when advised that you should consider it, that 10,000 naira is now 18,000 naira. And if you did for Zenith, when I also told you to consider it, that 10,000 naira will now be 15,000 naira. And the crazy thing is that I was not the only one pointing these things out. Nick Finance Niger also made a video then encouraging you guys to consider the options, to consider both sides. Don't just take the negative side that maybe it was a bad time to buy shares and the market was overpriced and all that. We both came out to say that, and that was that. The sort of risk we are talking about is not for things like gambling. That is different from what we are discussing today. Yeah. There are different kind of risk. And there are some risk that when it goes wrong, it's not only money you lose a whole lot of things. And this is not one of those risks. So I understand. You might think 12 months is a long time, July 2024 to July 2025, it's a year. So let's look at something much closer. Something we can measure, maybe 6 months. 6 months is fine, right? So I would say 29th December 2024, 6 months ago. Okay, I made a video titled 5 stocks I'm watching in 2025. And if you had invested 10,000 naira each, that's 50,000 naira in total, you would now have 70,000 naira. 70 in 6 months. Now, everything is not going on as it should. Let me explain that further. So there are 5 stocks, and one, Seplat Energy, that would be costing you 10%. So you would have lost on that stock. That was why I was watching 5 stocks, not one stock. And the one stock that did badly would reduce your 10,000 naira to 9,000 naira. So it is costing you about 10% in 6 months. Then, some of you, I know, some people will be like, wait, you reviewed 5 stocks, 4 are doing well. Why are you getting 4 over 5? Why are you not getting 5 over 5? It's just 6 months in the year. I was watching for 2025. We still have July to December to go, 6 more months. So do not burn the witch yet. So I guess for some of you, 6 months is too long. It's just too long. You want something a bit shorter, 12 months, 6 months, What if you were not having a phone then to watch YouTube? What if your phone was down or you didn't have data? Did I make any call out? Okay, I get it. I can see where you're going to with this. So guess what? Another video was made. Yeah. Another video was made on the 9th of April 2025. That was 3 months ago. So what did we say 3 months ago? You didn't listen 6 months ago? You did not see the video 12 months ago. What did we say 3 months ago? So because of the fallout of our video about the 5 stocks to watch out for in 2025, a lot of people were in the comment section saying, dude, we get it. You want us to buy shares. Oh, you want us to buy shares? We want to buy shares. You like your peaks. If I want to join you, if I want to make like a collabo, if I want to also buy other shares, how do I buy shares from the stock market? I don't know how to buy shares in the stock market. Make a video teaching us how to buy shares, Nigerian shares in the stock market. So I have to make that video on the 9th of April 2025. And technically I just showed you what you were requesting for, how to buy shares on the Nigerian stock market. But in that video, for those of you who watched it, I clearly stated that there was a reason why I was picking the two stocks I used as sample in teaching you how to buy shares in the stock market. And I told you there was a reason. And because I knew that something was about to happen or something was happening. Now I was just laying it out there. It was a risk I was taking. I was taking a risk. I don't know whether it's going to work or not. But I picked two stocks, Unilever and UACN. So how do they perform? Unilever and UACN. What happened? What happened to those stocks since that video was made 3 months ago? Just a second, please. There. Oh, sorry, this? Don't worry. I'm preparing for something. Just wait. So, Unilever would turn your 10,000 naira to 15,000 naira today. And if it was UACN you chose, it will also turn your 10,000 naira to 15,000 naira. So if you had invested 20,000 naira, that's 10,000 naira each. Today, you would have 30,000 naira. 20,000 naira to 30,000 naira in 3 months. So I remember very clearly that people in the video were like, dude, tell us why you are picking those stocks. Give us the secret sauce. And I was like, if the video did not have a certain number of likes, I would make the next video in August. Well, granted, this is not August, but you know, I needed a certain number of likes to see whether people are willing to learn the secret sauce. And here we are. Maybe today is the day you're going to learn the secret sauce. But let's just go back to risk. We started with risk, so let's address risk before we go to why those stocks were picked. If you did not take a risk 12 months ago, you did not also take a risk 6 months ago. You did not take the risk 3 months ago. Surely, there's a reason why you're not taking that risk. Risk is the possibility of something bad happening. So in this scenario, it's the possibility of something bad happening to your money, which I understand. Trust me, I do understand. And that is why we are here today. It's obvious why people will not want to take unnecessary risk with their money. You know, it's your hard-earned money. It will be heartbreaking if something bad happens to it. So I understand why the fear is there. But do you understand the opportunities that you're missing because of the fear? Is it so bad to take that one step and just try it out? Are there ways for you to, you know, mitigate this risk? Sorry, a second. Are there ways for you to protect yourself? There should be certainly be ways to protect yourself against risk. You know, you need a sure way to guarantee that your money is safe. One of them is diversification. It means do not put all your eggs in one basket. Hence why we're looking at 5 stocks at the beginning of the year. And when I spoke to you in April 3 months ago, I also gave you 2 options, 2 stocks. So far, I've presented 8 stocks that I was interested in. I could just take all the money and put it in Presco, or take all the money and put it in Seplat. The issue there is that I'm betting on one stock. And if something bad happens to that stock, like if it was Seplat, I would have lost 10% right now. But because I spread it across 5 stocks or 8 stocks, I'm not even noticing that 10% is missing, because it was just 10% on one stock, not 10% on everything I invested in the stock market. So that is the way of looking at it. Of course, there's always a reason to buy a stock. You can't just carry your money and say you're investing in a business and just do it blindly. It's not about diversification, so you can just go to the market now. Am I saying diversification or diversification? I think I said diversification. As I was saying, you can't just go to the stock market and just do who mess now, Ojo say na teacher. You can't pick random. There's a reasoning behind it all. Just a second. I'm preparing for something, as I said earlier. Just as in 2021, No, it was 2020. 5 years ago, 2020, when I was telling people to buy Presco PLC and Okumu Oil. So that was just 2020, this 2025. So just about 5 years ago. There was a reasoning behind that choice. And I told you back then that Presco had a product. That product is oil palm. And oil palm is used to create so many things. There's byproducts for fertilizer, for animal feed. Oil palm can also be used in cosmetics. Oil palm is used in Maggi. Oil palm, vegetable oil, palm oil. We can't do without pop-off. You can't do without jollof rice, fried rice, fried meat. We use all those for oil palm. Oh, is that all? No, oil palm. Oil palm is used for margarine, butter. You eat with those, but let's say you do not eat sweet. Butter. Let's say you just like to eat your bread dry or you eat your bread with stew. Guess what they use to make bread? There are several ingredients in bread that oil palm was used for. Some breads use butter, oil palm. There's milk in some bread, oil palm. So I showed you then that oil palm was a product it's just in our lives, in our way of living in Nigeria. And there was no way to avoid the product. And such products, looking at the valuation of the stock then and the valuation of the business then, and the growing profit they were making every year. So every year, this business was just making more money. And I was like, look, I think this is a great stock to buy. Then it was 45 naira. 45 naira to 55 naira. That video is still up. You can go and check. But let's just say you got it when it was 55 naira. Today, Presco PLC is 1,255 naira. Should I move on? Okay. You say, okay, that was obvious because the product. What about other investments that don't have obvious products like oil palm or cassava or something very direct? What about banks? Banks don't have like that product, and there's so many banks, on the stock market. So how would you choose that? Why did we pick GTCO or Zenith Bank? If you have to open a bank today, if you have to create your own bank, what's going to be important to you? Customers. You open a bank, obviously you want customers. Why? Because customers, you need the customers for their money. Why? Because you need that money to make more money. Why? Because after making that extra money with their money, you would give them peanuts and take the lion's share. It's a no-brainer. But it's not about a bank, because you will now think that, okay, if a bank has so much customer deposit, wait, how do you know that? It's obvious. So maybe I didn't make this clear earlier. Let me just make it clear now. For every share or stock or business on the stock market, their financials are online, they're public. So GT Bank, you can find all their books, all their numbers, what they sold, what they made, what they pay as tax, and so on and so forth. So we can also see their customer deposits. So we see how much a bank is having, how much money the customers of the bank put in there. But guess what? GTB or GTCO and Zenith don't have the highest customer deposit. Access Bank customer deposit is more than GTB. It's also more than Zenith Bank. So why am I not screaming Access Bank? By the way, I have a video for Access Bank, so I did scream Access Bank. But why in the last 12 months did I talk about GTCO and Zenith? Because these two banks know how to use the customer deposit. So let me explain this better. You could have 20 naira, I have 10 naira. But if I use my 10 naira to make 5 naira and use your 20 naira to make 3 naira, yes, you have more customer deposit. But I'm using my own small deposit to make more profits than you are. And that is what matters. That is what pays the dividends. That is what is important to the profitability of that bank that year. I know you would say goodwill is important. Being a people's bank is important. That's your own business, so it's not my business. Let's move on. So there's a way to look at banks in terms of what is a product. There are things to look at like that. At this stage, you'll be like, but wait. Okay, we get that. But those stocks you told us about 3 months ago, so that's Unilever and USN. Why? Why them? What's special about them? Is it a product? Is it the customer deposit? Well, those two are not banks. So there's something else, obviously. Why Unilever? Unilever is strictly because of Mr. Balogun, their chairman. And they employed him in 2024, last year. I think May 2024, he was employed as a chairman of Unilever. Apart from that, okay, let me address that. I'll forget. The video is getting too long. So, Mr. Balogun, just Google him. Look at the business he created. Look at where he has worked before. Look at the deals he has sealed in the past. That will impress you. You can go ahead and look at that. So now we move to UACN. What is special about UACN? They develop and manage properties, real estate, but that is not it. They own products like Gala. You know Gala now? Gala Sausage Roll. They own Swan Water. They own Debonaire's Pizza. They own Deluxe Spades. But here's the important thing. 50% of the money they make comes from Grand Oil. You know Grand Oil? You should know Grand Oil. It's over in the market. Everybody uses Grand Oil. That Grand Oil, the one you see in the market and the shelves in people's home, yeah, they own that. They also own Livestock Limited. Livestock Limited, they're the ones that produce feed for birds, that's chicken, poultry, and other livestock. Livestock Limited. I'm shocked I needed to explain that to you. And so these guys are making 50% of their money from Livestock Limited and Grand Oil. And there are other reasons why you pick stocks like this. For example, look at this. In 2023, they made 8.9 billion naira as profits. Guess what they made in 2024 as profit? They made, wait for it, 16.3, from 8.9 to 16.3 billion naira. So why should I not be interested in them? And I just give you the reasons. But we also, what happened? The both stocks, Unilever and UACN, grew by over 50% between when the video was aired and today. So let's move on to how you can manage risk. I told you about diversification. The next important thing is you don't have to invest all your money at once. Look, if you have 1 million as a whole, so after doing your budgeting, after your money, the money you have to spare, I'm not telling you to go and borrow money to invest in stocks. Just, madam, don't. I am just saying your disposable income, the money that you own, right? Okay. So let's say it is 1 million naira. I'm not asking you to take 1 million naira and can drop in stocks. Now you might be like, oh, burst. You might say, you told us to diversify. You told us to diversify. We are doing that already. So I can invest my entire disposable income on stocks. But that's wrong. You don't have to do that. To manage risk, what you could do is take a portion of that money. You could invest a portion in January, another portion in February. You could do it quarterly. Just break it down and do it gradually so that the money is not all at the same time and the market crashes and you come here and start crying in the comment section. You could do that. You could also just take a portion of the money and invest. So instead of investing your entire disposable income, your entire 1 million naira, you could just take 100,000 naira to invest. But we're talking about risk. Here is where you might be happy or not. So let's say you have 1 million naira disposable income and you just take 10% to invest. So that 10% is 100,000 naira. Good. If that's what you're investing makes a loss of 10%, you just invested 100,000 naira instead of 1 million naira. So if that stock or group of stocks make a loss of 10%, you would only lose 10,000 naira. Huh? So if you had invested 1 million naira, 10%, you would have lost 100,000 naira. But because you only invested a portion, that's 10% of your income, and you lose, which is 100,000 naira, you lose 10%, you would lose only 10,000 naira instead of 100,000 naira. See? That's another way to manage your risk instead of not taking any risk at all. But here's the thing that people are also scared of. If you make a gain, so let's say for whatever reason, that stock gains 100%, right? So if you invest 100,000 naira instead of 1 million naira and it makes 100% gain, your 100,000 naira would now be 200,000 naira. Now you start wondering that, wait, but if I invested 1 million naira, I would have 2 million naira. Now I'm just having 100,000 naira extra, making 200,000 naira because I did not invest a lot. So it's a balancing act, but it's much safer not to lose. I know it hurts more when you know that you could have made that money, but you don't make it because you are being too safe. But some people say there's no such thing as being too safe. So that's about it. Always manage your risk the way you can. I think I've covered everything so far. Have you liked the video? Did you comment? Are you subscribed? Oh yeah, if I forget, it is important to tell you this. Because someone made profit on a stock 12 months ago, or 6 months ago, or 3 months ago, does not mean that you're also going to make a profit on that same share in the next 6 months, or in the next 3 months, or in the next 12 months. Results are individual, scenario specific. So because the stock has been making profits over and over and over again, does not mean that the time has come for it to start making losses. You need to start taking safe risks. There are different kind of risk, financial risk, but I'm not asking you to do the hardcore ones. I think I'm going to run the video up here. So, as usual, if you like, smash the like button. Just quiet, smash it. Remember to subscribe, comment, share, and depending on the performance of this video, the next video might be in December. It's your choice. Guys, bye.